Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to BLAW Live. Bishop Larry Ward, I'm so glad to be with you tonight, and we are going to be talking with my sister, Sharon, and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're talking with her concerning her journey as God has blessed her to be able to survive cancer. And so I pray that this journey and this time would be a blessing to all of you who are listening. And as I share in many aspects of the journey, we pray that it will just strengthen and encourage you and anyone who really needs encouragement at this time. So without further ado, we're just going to just start right in. And this is my sister, Sharon. So Sharon, how are you?
I'm doing well, Bishop. I'm
Well,
doing very good.
well, this is a great month to celebrate Cancer Awareness Month, and especially talking with you as a survivor. So, how long have you, um, when it comes to being a cancer survivor, how long has it been?
I was diagnosed with cancer in February of 2012, so it's been 8 years since I was diagnosed with cancer. I am now cancer free, and
Wow.
I'm feeling pretty good. Um, I still get a little tired. There's days that I get tired, but all in all, I when I wake up, I thank God every day that I'm alive, and I continue on with my day.
So it's been 8 years.
8 years.
Wow. Wow. I remember when you told us that you had cancer, and if you just kind of reflect back a little bit, what was what was it like experiencing that moment when you got the news that you had cancer?
Well, when I got the news that I had cancer, I was at work. The doctor had called and asked me if he could talk to me, because if he told me to come in the office, he knew I would already know that the news was not good. So because it was late in the day, there was no one around, so I was able to talk to him freely on the phone. So then he said, "I'm sorry, but you have breast cancer." I said, "I have what?" I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And he said, we'll make an appointment and we'll talk. So I called my girlfriend who sits on the other side of the floor. So she came over and I told her. And then of course, I called you guys. I called Jackie. I called you to tell you that I had cancer. But I was scheduled to meet with a group at school because at the time I was in attending Cambridge College and I was in my last semester. And I had a group meeting that I had set up. So I didn't want to call, well, I didn't want anybody to know, first of all. So I didn't want to call the meeting off. So I went to the meeting and then I came home to talk to you and Jackie. So we
Mm-hmm.
kind of kept everything quiet. We kind of kept it away from dad for a while. And
Yeah.
until we could figure out what the next steps were.
Yeah, I kind of remember, you know, that announcement that when you told us about it, it was kind of like, what, what, how bad is it? There's a lot of things going through my mind. Um, but I think that overall, we were able to at least regain our composure to the point where all we could do is just really pray. So when you at this point, as you've gone through many of the stages of the treatment, how has your life really changed since being declared cancer free? How's it really changed you?
Well, I plan things out a little more because there's only so much things you can do in a day before you get tired and your body can feel the pull like okay you need to stop or you start to slow down. So you can only do so much before you're tired or you start to hurt. because there's a medication that I have to take every day, and it causes joint pain. So there's only so much you can really do in a day. You can have a long laundry list of a lot of things that you want to do, but in all, your body tells you when to stop. So you don't know how much you overdid until the next day. Then you say, "Oh, why am I hurting?" And it's like, "What did I do yesterday?" And that's the big question. What did I do yesterday? And then as you go through the day, you said, "Okay, that's why I'm hurting." So you have to plan things out. You have to some things you just have to let go. Some things you just can't do. And so you learn to live with the restrictions because you can't do a whole lot of things. But you know, it's just the way it is.
So, as you started to talk about the changes that have occurred since you've been declared cancer free, um, when a person becomes declared cancer free, should they expect to feel the same way, or it's just going to probably feel different?
Well, everybody is different. Um, Everybody's surgeries are different. So you have to do what's best for you, what works for you. Um,
Hmm.
there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, I mean, I talk to some folks that have cancer and, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And it's like, oh, no, I can't do that. And it's because of the type of cancer you have, the medication you're on, and different things that you do. So it's not easy for everyone, and everyone is not the same. So their issues that they go through would be different from mine. So mine is the joint pain hurting. So I have to deal with that. So like I said, I try to not do too much, even though I may have a long list to do things, and
Hmm.
sometimes I just can't get to them.
Well, so you just have to be comfortable with maybe some limitations that you've now have that you didn't have before.
Right. You have to, I can used to be able to drive all over the place and do different errands and run in here, run in there. I can't do that anymore. It's pick the place that you pick the thing that you need, prioritize your list, and if something doesn't get done, we just table it and it go to the next day because you cannot get everything done. And if you do try to get everything done, then that's when the pain comes. You feel the hurt, and your body slows down as you're trying to push. Your body pushes back. So you have to know your limitations, and you have to manage your own pain.
Mm. So did you learn that by trial and error, and say, I think I can do this, and then you found out that, oh my goodness, I am really feeling really bad today, and then you kind of evaluate and say, well, what did I do yesterday that may have caused me to really feel like I'm feeling today? So when you think about it, how did you really come to make those adjustments? Did you learn by trial and error, or did you kind of say, okay, this is what I think I can handle? Well, how did it
Basically,
happen?
trial and error. It's like you have to do, you start to do things and take on a little more responsibilities and doing more things. So when you do that, then, like I said, the next day it says, okay, I can't do all those things at one time. So you manage your pain, you manage how you do your work, how you work, how much work you can do. When you get home, how much things you can do, how many places you can go. And you do have to limit yourself. I know I limit myself. I don't go as many places as I used to go, and I don't run around as much as I do. I don't do a lot of errands in a day. I don't drive around a lot either. So, and I like to drive, so, and I don't drive that much. But it's, you get tired, and sometimes you just, your body just slumps down. But you manage that
Mm.
by trial and error.
So so what are some of the disciplines that you might tell the audience that, you're a cancer survivor, and now that you have really gone through that journey of getting chemo and surgeries and all those kind of things that happen, when someone is actually undergoing treatments, um, how hard is it to really keep the disciplines, and what disciplines do you have? How hard is it to keep those disciplines now that you're cancer free?
Well, now that you're cancer free, the disciplines you keep, because if you don't, you'll be in pain. So that kind of helps you to keep on your course. It helps you to know your limitations. Um, you do go out, you do things, but you have to, on your journey, you have to know when you can do something and when you can't. Like, I don't make
So
appointments
when are
far
your
away.
disciplines? When do you so what are some of the disciplines that you have right now? Because I know you work and you have activities and you have, things that you do. So what the typical day of that involves discipline that you can tell us about,
Typical day, I make
kind of like.
sure I eat. I make sure I have the strength to eat. I make sure I take my vitamins. Um, I try to eat
Well, what do you eat? What do
on
you eat?
time. In the morning, I may have cereal if I feel really rested. I'll make some batter, make waffle or something. I have a cup of tea, hot tea. I take my vitamins with that. Afternoon, I have lunch. I may have a sandwich. Um, I drink a lot of water. I drink water and for lunch. I drink water for dinner, and I may drink some if I go to bed, or if I do some exercise, I may drink a bottle of water then. Um, Vegetables. Make sure I have my vegetables, and I make
Hmm.
sure I have a meal of meat and vegetables, and maybe a small amount of a starch, maybe some potato or rice or something like that. So I have to take my. I usually take my cancer medicine after my dinner or with my dinner. So I take it at night, because if there's any side effects going on, it happens while I'm home and in the house, and not out on the street or driving or anything like that. So I take that cancer pill at night.
So generally, being cancer free does not necessarily mean that you may totally go off of medication. I don't know.
Some
Does it
people are
mean?
not on medication. Some people are cancer free and they're not on medication. I am on medication due to my cancer was estrogen based. So they gave me an estrogen tablet to take. So first it was, I thought at first I was taking this pill for 3 months, and then after that I didn't have to take it anymore. But then, as you go to your doctor's appointments and you go with me or Jackie goes with me, Jackie said to me, "Didn't you understand that you had to take that pill for 5 years?" And I'm like, "I got to take this pill every day for 5 years." It was like some big fat news to me that I had to take this pill every day for 5 years. So I said, "No, I didn't understand that. I didn't hear that." So the other thing that is important too is make sure that when you go on your appointments, make sure that you take somebody with you, because you do not hear everything. They say two words and you're processing those two words, and they have gone on and said some other things that you did not hear, you did not remember, you don't even know that that's what you're supposed to be doing. So I take this pill every day. I'm supposed to take it for 5 years. At the end of the 5 year period, I was like, oh, good, I'm getting off. I don't have to worry about taking it every day. I don't have to remember. I don't have all these alarms going off to try to help me to remember to take it. I said to her, what if I forget to take it? She said, well, if you forget to take it, we have to try to help you remember. So at that point, I set an alarm on my phone. It rings every day. I take the pill every day. And then I had a doctor's appointment after the 5 years, and she said, we need you to take it for 5 more due to the cancer study. The cancer study at the beginning was 5 years, and then it changed, and now it's 10. So I
Wow.
have 2 more years to take this pill. So I have to be disciplined in eating because I'm on this medication. So, and that is the only thing I'm on. Now, some people I know, um, they have had their surgeries and everything, but they are not on medication. So I believe the medication is just due to the type of cancer that I had.
Oh, and so as you're talking about caregivers or people around you that can help you and that you really can't shouldn't go through this alone because it is a tough journey. It's really a tough journey. So I know a little bit about the journey because I was one of your caregivers,
Right.
and we had, my other sister Jack was a caregiver, and you had some friends that were caregivers as well, and people that were around us, our family members were caregivers, and so I want to talk about the kind of caregiving that we need to supply those who are, going on this journey to beat cancer. Sometimes it's always on the person that has and said, well, I hope that they can just rally and get through. But we don't often think that it does take a group of people or someone beside that person to really help them. And sometimes it takes a toll on caregivers too. So let's talk about caregiving and from from the standpoint of you're receiving the care. What kind of things do caregivers need to be able to give a person who's walking through this journey and battle with cancer?
Well, first of all, you need someone to go with you to the appointments because you don't hear everything. When you first find out our first appointment, I believe you and Jackie was with me, and the doctor went through a whole list of treatment options and things they wanted me to do. And um, so I remember you saying to Jackie, "Are you writing this down?" And I was saying somebody has to write it down because I stopped listening a long time ago. And we're gonna try this, we're gonna try that, we're gonna take you to this, you gotta go see this person, you gotta have MRI, you gotta, you know. So I went, I think the first thing we did was the MRIs. And so
Mm.
we took a lot of MRIs, and I believe I said to you, I don't like MRIs. I don't want to get in that machine. Can they do something else? So when we went to make the appointment, the nurse gave me a scripture, Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. So I carried that little card with me every time I had to go to the doctor's office. And that scripture has been with me throughout the whole ordeal. And in fact, I still have that card in my wallet. I carry it with me. And every time we had a visit, it's like, okay, I would pray that, okay, let's not have a whole lot of talking about what's next. So I kind of put limitations on some of the things. It's like if I can only talk about my cancer to two people a day. If you were the third person coming to me asking me any questions, I have to tell you, I say, I'm sorry. I want to talk to you, but I'll talk to you tomorrow. You are the third person of the day. And the other piece was when I went to the doctor's office, I would limit their um, section the doctor's office appointments. It's like, okay, I just want to know the next step, the next thing I have to do. Don't tell me what's coming 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months down the road. I just want to know what the next step is. That way you can concentrate on doing that thing because you really have to pay attention to what they're saying. You have to pay attention to what they want you to do. And you have to do what they want you to do when they tell you to do it and how they tell you to do it because it's a lot of components. And a lot of times you may have to do these things by yourself. Now, support, I had you, Bishop, for support. I had Jackie for support. I had my cousin. I had Auntie E. I had um, friends of mine
Mhm.
supporting me, driving me. to and from the radiation, because radiation is 28 days. You have to go all 28 days. If you miss a day, you still have to do 28 days. They just tack that on to the end. So it's not like you can skip and try to do other things. You have to do the things that they say when they say. You have to go to the appointments on the day that they give you the appointment, because if you don't, then it doesn't, the treatments don't go well and they don't flow. So when you think you should be off of chemo, you're still going. When you think you should be out of radiation, you're still going. They have it scheduled so that you have to be a certain place, a certain time, on a certain day for the treatments, and you have to make those appointments. I think I only didn't make an appointment because the machine was broken. But once they got the machine fixed and they gave me an appointment, I think I gave me an appointment on Saturday evening. You have to go Saturday evening. There's nothing, you're not doing anything but what the treatments and the instructions are. Now, you may not know them all the way down to the end, but the piece that you know. So we went through the surgeries, we went through reconstruction, the start of reconstruction. Then we went to radiation. Then I think I wanted to go back to work, and you said, no, you're not going yet. And then the doctor said, no, you're not going yet. You have to wait until, I had to wait till the oncologist, radiologist saw me sometime in February. So we're going from, well, we started treatments in March of that year. We started with the chemo, then we started with the pill, then we had the pill, then we had a surgery, then we had another surgery. Then we went through part of the reconstruction, then we went through radiation. It's like, okay, I'm ready, I'm good. And then everybody says, no, you're not good. You have to wait. So I had to wait until February till I got a report from the radiologist oncologist at the Beth Israel. So we did that. So like I said, we followed all the instructions. And even when I didn't want to follow the instructions, I was made to follow the instructions so that things would flow in a certain way. You just have to pay attention. And when you're not paying attention because you're so sick, you need the support of your friends and your family. You need people praying for you, because sometimes the news that they're telling you is like, you're not even saying that to me. I don't hear you. So you have to have a lot of support. You need support in driving you back and forth to your appointments. You need someone to stay with you during the appointment so that they can hear and write down the things that you're supposed to be doing. You need to just follow everything that's being planned for you. And you need somebody with you. You need somebody to fix your meals, and you need to also eat your meals. Sometimes the chemotherapy is not good, and it causes you not to feel hungry, or not, you don't want to eat, but you still have to eat. So you have to figure out, that's something that you have to do yourself. You have to figure out how you're going to eat. So caregivers are good support for you during your journey, because I know if I didn't have support, some of them things that they wanted me to do, I just wouldn't be doing it, because it's hard for you to do and hard to care for yourself when sometimes you're in pain, sometimes you're tired, you're groggy, so you're not fully 100% all the time. So some of the things you would not do if you didn't have support. So support is good. I encourage people when they have cancer. I always ask who's with them, who's taking them to the appointments, who's helping them. And then, sometimes, we don't want other people helping us. We just want to do it ourselves, but you can't. You really cannot do things by yourself. So support is key in all of this journey of cancer.
Yeah, and I could talk even from the other side of it as being a caregiver, that part of the caregiver's responsibility is to make sure that as much as possible that you didn't have to worry about anything other than getting to the appointment. So from driving you there, getting you there on time, and even making sure that, okay, if there was a appointment that was elongated and you had to eat something in there, that you were eating the right kind of food. I know one thing that we were very strict upon um, is making sure that you ate the right kind of food and not simply just eating just because you were hungry or it was time to eat. So
Right.
it's kind of like, okay, did you have vegetables today? Did you have fruit today? Did you have enough water today?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't drink this amount of water. I said, well, you got to make sure you drink this amount of water. So it was sometimes the tough love of making sure that you had what you needed to have, even if it was kind of what I call a little bit of a fight. Um,
A little
and
bit.
so caregivers just have to understand that fighting with the patient for their health and well-being is just part of the process. Um, we did that. Mom, she had cancer as well, and she went through her 7-year battle with cancer, and we had at least a good amount of time with her while she was, and she beat it. She beat it one time, came back again, but we hung in there until the
Yes,
end,
yes.
and we made her eat things that she didn't want to eat and drink things that she didn't want to
And a
drink,
drink, right.
and so it is for caregivers. They have to not they have to not be willing to give in to the 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 person's rejection if they kind of push them off and say, well, they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. So from the caregiver standpoint, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time. Your calendar is pretty much at the disposal of doctors appointments and making sure you're there to drive, and if you can't make it, you got to find a substitute. You
Oh,
can't tell.
substitute, yeah.
I remember there's times that so something came up because I'm pastoring, and I had to do a funeral or something like that. So rather than putting on you to say, hey, I can't drive the appointment, I made sure that I could find somebody that was willing and available to make sure you got what you needed to get and get there on time. So caregivers sometimes have to be a little bit more responsible. We have to be responsible to get our substitutes if we need to have them as well. So it takes a group of people to really make it easy for the person who's going through their treatments. So for those of you who just joined us, maybe you joined us a little late. You're on BLAW Live, and I'm talking with my sister Sharon, and just talking about her journey as being a cancer survivor. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is 8 years that she has really been cancer free, and so praise God for that. So we're just sharing, you know, some of that experience in hopes that we can help anyone who's out there who's a caregiver or they're actually going through the journey of beating and battling this disease. And so, another question I got for you is how, and I know you touched on it a little bit. You talked about scriptures, you talked about things that you would remember and quote from the Word and carry with you. So, getting into that, how did your faith play a role in this healing process, in this journey of being a cancer survivor?
Well, in this journey, I knew God had to intervene with the doctors and who I was seeing. We had to make sure that, we were praying and making sure that the right people were around us and the right people were telling us what to do. Um, we had good doctors. Um, I know we were praying, so I didn't know what to do. You have to trust God because you don't know what to do. You never had this issue
Mm.
before. You never had this condition before. You don't know what to do. So, and I knew others were praying for me. So that helped to keep me calm. That helped to keep me a little bit more focused because I knew, okay, in the times when I couldn't pray, I knew someone else was praying for me. So that helped me in my role of healing. And
So when it came
also
to
you have to have a good attitude. You can't
Oh, talk about your attitude.
you can't you can't
That's
have a
huge.
bad attitude, um, because that's a crucial part of the healing process. You just have to take every day as it comes. It's a long journey. It's a day-to-day journey. Everything is not always good. It's mostly in the negative because you don't feel well, and it's not your normal routine. So you have to have a positive attitude. You have to have an attitude of I'm going to get better. I will get better. It may not be today, but it's coming. There's an end, and I will get better. So like I said, my attitude was to make sure that I did everything that they told me to do when they told me to do it. That is crucial. You can't say I'm not doing this today or whatever. Radiation is every day for 28 days straight. You have to go every day for the 28 days. Like I said before, if you didn't go, they tack it on to the end. You're still doing 28 days. The full treatment of a radiation is 28 days.
Wow.
And yes, you're tired. Yes, you don't feel like going. No, you don't feel like going, but you got to get there on time, because if you're not on time, the person behind you is delayed, and then their whole day is delayed. So you have to be on time for your appointments. You have to go every day. So some days is a struggle, but I knew in order to get better, my attitude was I have to do this. I know one day Mark took me, and we were going to the BI, we were going to the hospital for the radiation. Mark goes, Auntie, do you want to come here every day? And I said, Mark, no, I don't want to come here every day,
Mm.
but I have to come here every day because that's what the doctor wants me to do. So with that, we we're coming from the appointment at that point in time. Do I want to come here every day? That was the question. And of course the answer is no. Who wants to go to the hospital every day? No, we don't want to do that. But that is what is required. So because it's required and that's what we have to do, that's what we do. And we just move in the way that the doctors is telling. We have to trust the doctor. So we pray for the doctors. We pray for the doctors' hands in surgery. We prayed for the doctors over us. We pray that when we ask any questions, the doctor's able to give us an answer. And I remember one time you was mad at me because I made you come out the room, and then you asked me all these questions, and I couldn't answer you. He goes, well, you made me come out the room. I said, okay, from now on, you're in the room. You ask all your questions, because if I don't remember the questions, then I have no answers to give when I come out. So we make adjustments of what we're doing and how we're going to do it so that we can get through it. And with that, being obedient, and we're praying, and we're um, doing what the doctor is telling us. I'm here today.
Yeah, and and it's amazing that um, God will work through our medical professionals, and and oftentimes we may think that it's not faith to really go through a process where you're obedient to medical professionals. And I know even now, as we're experienced a pandemic, um, there's a lot of what I call rebellion against medical professionals and scientists with regards to how we should protect ourselves during the season. And I don't think that's a matter of faith. I think that's also taking your chances and being foolish, because
Right.
not only do we have to be people who believe God, but we also have to understand that there's wisdom. There's the ability to have insight, and if God has given understanding to those who understand science and anatomy. These are all given by God too. These are gifts. In fact, Jesus was not against doctors. He had a doctor on his team. His name was Luke. Doctors were
Mm,
part of the kingdom
right.
where he said, When a person was sick, even after he laid hands on him, he said, all right, I want you to go validate your healing, go to the priest and let them see that you're healed. So it's important to understand that, you know, when it comes to medical science and obedience to physicians, we certainly need to ask questions. We need to have discernment. But at the same time, we need to, you know, obey and follow through on what we're told to do. So who knows what would happen if you just decided not to follow through on 28 consistent days of going to get your therapy. Um, who knows? It might have been a different outcome, not because God didn't want to heal you, but because you didn't walk in obedience to the authority, to the wisdom of your physician. So we always have to be open to following the way God is moving. Um, so with that in mind, um, when it comes to this season, we are now, of course, in a pandemic. And
You're
when
right.
it comes to those who are asymptomatic, and when it comes to COVID, they may not even have any symptoms at all. They may not have any coughing at all. And so they don't realize the impact that they could make on others like yourself who have a pre-existing condition. So what would you say to this, um, to those who may not even give it a second thought to just kind of walk around you without a mask on?
Um, I don't go many places, uh, but since my immune system is compromised because of the chemotherapy, I have to be very careful of where I'm going and how many people are going to be there. And I always wear my mask. If I'm going to the grocery store, I wear my mask. I may not wear the mask when I'm in the car by myself, but once I get out to the supermarket, I wear my mask. If I'm out of the car, I wear my mask. Um, I'm just very cautious of how many people are around me and how far apart I am from them. I just try to keep my distance if I have to be somewhere. If I'm doing something and it's outside, um, it's better. I still wear a mask if I'm outside, but if I go line dancing, I'm outside. So, but I wear my mask. Um, so if I go walking, um, as long as no one is around me, I don't have my mask on. But if someone is walking past me on the street or in the park, I put the mask on. So
Mm,
I'm very cautious of who's around me.
yeah. So when it comes to being careful, um, this is going to probably be kind of the way of life. Because although we're looking at the hope of having a vaccine, everybody probably won't take the vaccination. Everybody won't take the vaccine, at least not right away. Um, so what do you think as we start to kind of push forward? Would you probably wear a mask the rest of your life?
Well, I would probably have to consult the doctor about that. I'm not keen on vaccinations. I'm not keen on the flu shot. I don't know what's in them, and I don't know what effect that will have on the medication I'm taking. So at this point, I am not taking flu shot or COVID vaccination, but I would consult the doctor and I would follow that instruction. So if I have to go someplace and I have to wear a mask, I have mask in the car and I wear one when I leave the house. So I always have one around. One is always near me. So um, wearing a mask for the rest of my life, I don't know if I have to do that, but if that's what they recommend that I do, then that's what I'll be doing.
Oh, oh, because and I think we also need to say to the audience who is out there that wearing a mask, it's not only for our own personal protection, it's also for protection for those who have pre-existing conditions. And you may not realize it, but you could be around somebody that could catch something that would really cause them to lose their lives. And so it's very interesting how we are now going to be, I guess, on guard, have to be on guard for the rest of our lives, whether they find a vaccine or not. We're going to have to be on guard for the rest of our lives, especially uh, knowing what COVID can do. We have now jumped above 210,000
Right.
people who have lost their lives, and just seeing that we are now heading into the virus plus COVID, it is a very dangerous thing to be walking around and not really being cognizant of how you affect people
Right.
in this day and time. So as we're talking about this, uh, how does this how did the journey affect your your finances? Because I know it sometimes when it comes to sicknesses and um, of different types, depending on the kind of insurance you have, depending on the kind of job you have, how did your particular insurance even work for you, or did it not work for you to get all of those treatments and in cost that's involved in that?
Well, my insurance paid for the treatments. I had a copay to pay, which I paid. Um, my cancer medication is free under my insurance. Um, I didn't have to worry about bills. I had FMLA from my job, and I also purchased a long term disability insurance, which I paid into once a month. So once I was out of work for 90 days, the insurance kicked in. So at the beginning, I had a little trouble with it. Um, I got in touch with this guy named Zachary, and Zachary said, "Oh, Sharon, you should be able to get something." Now, my paycheck goes down after so many days, I get less. So the long term disability insurance kicked in, and my savings kicked in the rest. So I used my sick time. I got full pay during my sick time. And then when that went out, I got a percentage. And then we had mutual aid fund at work, which I contributed to a sick day a year. So when you have they call it mutual aid. So I had my sick time, I had FMLA, I had mutual aid, I had long term disability insurance, and I had a little part of my savings that helped me through. So even after I went back to work, um, I had to come out a couple of weeks for the different surgeries that they had to do for the reconstruction and the mutual aid and um, kicked in, and then I was able to earn some sick time by going back to work. So every time I had to be out, I had sick time to use. So I didn't have to worry about any bills, paying any of my bills because I had funds to do so. And um, going back to work in between is what helped also um, give me some more time because once I went back to work, I was able to earn more time. So there's a week here, 2 weeks
Yeah,
here. I wasn't afraid to ask for time off. Everybody was okay with it, and if I had to um, leave work early for an appointment or something, my boss was very accommodating in that. So I really didn't have too much to worry about as far as finances was concerned because I had done some things prior that people suggested to me that it's like, oh, I don't need that, but yeah, I do. I did. I needed it. So, um,
what was those things that they said that you might need, but you didn't need
Well,
it right then.
I
You
had
needed it
gone to a
eventually.
financial planner, and the financial planner had suggested that I get long term disability insurance. Well, at the time, I wasn't sick. And it's like, why do I need that? So she said, well, go to your job and ask them about long term disability insurance. And I did do that. I went and I asked about the long term disability insurance, and I got it. And then when I got sick, I had to use it. So I was out of work from when I began my chemo. We figured out a process that I had to work things out because I had to go to school.
Yep.
So the doctor's office said they would do whatever I asked. So we figured out that I had school on Tuesday so I can have my chemo on Wednesday. And then I would take Thursday and Friday off because then I would have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to recover to go to work on Monday. And I think it was only one Monday I missed. I think you had to take me back to the hospital because I was running a fever. So there was only one Monday I missed. Then I had to tell school, the dean at school, that I had cancer and I was going through the treatment. So they were very accommodating also. So between that, I had that. And then I had, because I had taken the long term disability insurance, when my check was subsidized, or when my check got to the point where they only give you a percentage of it, I was able to contact the long term disability folks in my human resources department, and we were able to get the check once a month for the long term disability insurance. Um, and then I used, of course, my savings to make up a paycheck each week. So that worked out very well because I mean, when you're well, you don't think about having long term disability insurance because it's just like, I don't need that. I'm fine. But looking back, I'm glad I had it because
Yeah.
it was able to help me out when I needed it, and I and I saved my sick time. So I had some sick time that I used, and when I went on FMLA, I had to use down the sick time, and I was able to get a month or two out of that when I started. So all in all, everything worked out pretty good. I went back to work the February. I think I was out again on the May, and then the July. So running back and forth to the doctor and doing all that, going back to work, I was able to use my sick time and the FMLA. I kept that on
Mm.
file so that they would know that I would be out. So I mean, everybody worked with me on all areas, and everybody that was involved was giving me advice on what they thought I should do and how I should get it done. So I was able to get that done. Um, Human resources with the FMLA and the mutual aid from the union and the long-term disability insurance, they were very instrumental in helping me get what I needed when I needed it. So although you don't think you need long-term disability insurance, you may need it. So
That's good. That's good advice.
it'll cost. I mean, it costs you so much a month, but in the end, I was glad I have it, and I still do have it, just in case I need it.
It's good. That's good advice. Make sure that you know the benefits that you are entitled to, because some of those benefits can help you even though you may not need it now. But if you ever do need them, it'll be there for you. So, just in a few moments, we're going to be ending. Um, but I want to thank you very much for doing this BLAW Live. It
Thank
is
you.
very helpful for people to hear it. So thank you. I know it's like, okay, my sister, you can come on anyway, but you had to take the time to be on, and also
Thank you.
it's not a thing to talk about. So thank you for coming on. And for those of you on BLAW Live, I just want to thank you for watching tonight. Share with someone and let them know that they can be encouraged if they're walking through some difficult times and battling cancer, or they have a loved one that they're supporting or someone that they're supporting going through it. that God is able, that He's there for you, He's with you through the process, and that certainly we just are delighted that we can come to you on these Tuesday nights to share and to inspire and to encourage you, and also educate those of us who are on this broadcast. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So,
Thank
are there any quick resources that you read? Just kind of, if you have like maybe a quick resource that may help uh, a person who is going through their battle with cancer, or a caregiver who is giving care to someone. Could you just name maybe two resources?
I personally didn't have any, but what was instrumental is that the doctor's office always gave pamphlets and booklets about cancer, what it does, how it does, what you're supposed to do, and what each procedure was. We had, I think Jackie and I ended up watching a video about the reconstruction. They give out a lot of material about cancer in the treatment. So um, I would say you would just have to ask at the doctor's office for those pamphlets and those materials that will help and guide you. And they give you a lot of information prior to sheets of information prior to your treatments, what it's like, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to wear, what you're not supposed to wear. Like for radiation, you're not supposed to wear deodorant. So, all these little tips they give you at the doctor's office. So I had used those throughout my treatments. As they gave me the information, I would read it through, highlight, check off, make sure I had everything in order. So I don't have a book per se, but ask for the information at your doctor's office.
No, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
this ends our time together. So thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us at BLAW Live. Let me bless you as you go. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause His face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and give you His favor and peace. I pray for those that are sick, and pray for those that are caregivers tonight, that the healing of the Lord, Jehovah Rapha, will be your strength and your healer. I pray that He will cause His favor, His blessing to be in your life, and that you will be a victor in this battle, because the Lord is for you. And if God's before you, who can be against you? So good night, everyone. And thank you so much for being on this broadcast tonight of BLAW Live. God bless, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care now. Bye-bye.